Hello, good evening on this Thursday evening. Welcome, everybody. This is our final webinar of this phase, and we're looking at the Business Analyst Apprenticeship with AI. Save the best to last. John paid me to say that. I'm going to wait for people to come in the room, and whilst I do that, I'm just going to share our apprenticeship video.
Every year, the BBC offers hundreds of apprenticeship opportunities.
From the production teams that bring creative ideas to life,
to the tech teams that code BBC iPlayer and BBC Sounds,
and engineers that keep our broadcasts on air.
From the journalists getting to the heart of the stories that matter the most,
to the operations team that make the business of the BBC function and continue to thrive.
And no, this isn't an unpaid internship situation. You actually get a really competitive salary.
Did we say that you can get an accredited qualification from the UK's top learning providers?
And you don't have to pay for it, but you do have to study, like actually study.
This isn't just a London thing either. We're in Cardiff,
Glasgow,
Blackburn,
Newcastle,
Bristol, Tees,
Leeds,
Birmingham,
Salford,
Tunbridge Wells,
Belfast.
and that's not even all of our locations.
And it's not just about the work. Our staff networks and apprentice communities are always growing to make you feel like you can bring your authentic self to the BBC.
This really is just the beginning.
Sound good? Find out more here.
Excellent. And you are going to get to find out more here. So anyone who just joined whilst this video was playing, welcome. Thanks for joining us this evening. And today we are talking about a brand new apprenticeship that we have at the BBC starting next year. And that is Business Analyst with AI. So on the panel with me tonight, I have John, who is a scheme specialist who manages the scheme. Hello, John. How are you?
Hi, everyone.
Cool. And then I have the lovely Olivia, who works in the TA team or the recruitment team. So she'll be one of the people who is looking at all of the applications for this and other schemes that come through. Hi, Olivia. How are you?
Hi, very well. Thank you.
Cool. And then so this evening we will go through this apprenticeship. John will give some insights into the new scheme. Olivia will talk you through the application process, and I'm just going to give you a bit of background about the BBC and also our inclusivity policies. So before we get into the actual apprenticeship itself, I just want to give you some key facts about the BBC. And I do this, A, because it's always good to have key facts about the BBC, but B, because it shows a broader picture and gives a bit of a context as to why we put on the schemes that we do. You know, why are we doing a business analyst and AI scheme? So looking at BBC services for the UK, these are the facts and figures. And when I talk about services, I'm talking about the content that all of us can see as an audience on television, radio, and on our digital platforms. So to start on TV, we have 8 UK-wide TV services. I will always call them channels. And that is things like your BBC One, BBC Two, the News Channel, News 24. No, the News Channel is News 24, good Lord. CBeebies, BBC Parliament, that kind of stuff. And then from there, you have our nations and regional TV services. And they are your kind of like local news option. So you have the main bulletins, which are the main breakfast bulletins, but then you also have the 1 o'clock, the 6 o'clock, and the 10 o'clock. And then directly after them, you have something that is specific to the area you live in. So if you live in Wales, Scotland, or Northern Ireland, you will get BBC Wales, Scotland, or Northern Ireland. If you live in England, you will get something that's a bit more regional. So I am based in the West Midlands. So I get, for example, Midlands Today. Moving over to the radio side of life, there are 10 national radio services. So wherever you are in the UK, you can listen to your Asian networks, your One Extras, your Radio Ones, your 5 Lives, your Radio Force, those kind of services. And they all have their own unique style and unique audience listenership. Over in the nations, we have 7 specific stations for that as well. So if you are in Scotland, you've got BBC Radio Scotland, and you've got Radio Nangale. If you're in Wales, you've got Radio Wales, Radio Cymru, and Radio Cymru 2. And then if you're in Northern Ireland, you've got Radio Ulster and Radio Foyle. And they are a mix of language specific to the nation and also English speaking stations. And back over in England, Jersey and Guernsey, there are 41 different local stations for you. So again, back to me in the Midlands, I've got BBC Radio WM. And they're all specific to your area. So they will talk about what is happening in the patch that it covers. Then lastly, we've got our digital services, so our digital platforms. So we've got things like the main BBC homepage, BBC iPlayer, where you can either watch live or watch back all of our TV content, BBC Sounds, where you can listen live or listen back to all of our radio content. So for example, if I wanted to listen to Radio Cymru, I could listen via BBC Sounds. But then we have things like the BBC Sports platform, CBeebies online, the BBC News platform. And this is all the content, like I said, that we put out for our audiences specifically in the UK. So anyone who engages with the BBC in the UK, this is the content that we can engage with. But I always think of the BBC as an iceberg. Everything I've just talked to you about is the tip of the iceberg, the bit that you see above the water. What this doesn't reflect is actually the breadth of career options and the workforce in the BBC. So you don't see all of the producers that go towards making content on TV, radio, and online. You rarely, probably never, hear about all the people who work for the BBC as a business to keep the BBC as an organization going. You rarely or never hear about our technical operators or our engineers, and you don't hear about the people who work in our data spaces as well. So our apprenticeships reflect the workforce as a whole, as opposed to just the content that we put out. So yes, we do have apprenticeships in journalism, and we do have apprenticeships in production, because those are the products that we're putting out, it's the content that we're making. But we always have a range of apprenticeships in our business areas as well, along with our digital technology and data areas, and then finally our engineering and operational areas. And this apprenticeship will fit in our business category, even though it has a bit of flavor of AI and data to it. So as well as the different types of schemes that we also have schemes at different levels to help people in different parts of their learning journey or their career journeys. So we have apprenticeships at level 3 and level 4, which are the equivalent of A-levels or a BTEC. And then we have apprenticeships at level 5, which is the equivalent of a foundation degree. Those types of apprenticeships you will find under our advanced and higher apprenticeships banner. We then have degree and level 6 apprenticeships. So some of the apprenticeships where you actually do get a degree, so they're an integrated degree apprenticeship, or some of the apprenticeships are that the learning is at level 6. And then finally, we have a postgraduate option, so a level 7 option, and also just a general software graduate scheme. So they will come under our postgraduate level apprenticeships. So that is a very general and broad base trip around the BBC world. But we are here today to talk specifically about business analysts with AI. And so I'm going to hand you over to John, who is the expert. John, there you go.
Thank you very much, Alison. I wouldn't call myself the expert as such, but hey ho, I'll go with it. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for attending this webinar this evening. As Alison mentioned at the start of this call, this is a brand new apprenticeship program that we are launching as an early careers offering next September. As many of you on the call will be aware, AI is already transforming many people's lives and has the potential to transform all of our lives going forward, particularly in the business and corporate environment. So you can imagine that the BBC is very keen to embrace the opportunities that AI offers, but needs to do so in a responsible way. So we're looking for the next generation of AI experts, I guess, and we're hoping that some of you on the call may be indeed those individuals that we are looking for, that can learn the fundamentals around kind of business analysis and then use AI to help transform the way that we run our business right across the BBC. So let's look at some of those key points that are on the screen now. What is this apprenticeship all about? Well, as part of it, you'll be learning how to use AI to support improvements in business processes and assess the impact of AI. What does that mean in practice? Well, basically, if you come into the business, you'll learn about how we do things, how we process things, how we run the business from a kind of a user experience perspective. And then what we're looking to do is how can we kind of use AI to make our processes more efficient? What are the things that we are doing manually at the moment that we can use AI to automate? Those kind of questions and those kind of insights you'll be learning about as part of this apprenticeship. And that feeds into that second point there, discovering how the BBC is developing AI-driven business solutions within an ethical framework. So how can we make sure, how can we use AI to improve the way we do things, to make those things more efficient, but to do so in an ethically sustainable way? You'll be developing your knowledge of AI tools. I'm sure if you're already using AI tools, things like Copilot Chat or Chat GPT in your own kind of personal lives, you'll know how quickly the technology changes, how quickly a tool that was kind of not used by anybody a few months ago is now embraced by everybody. Chat GPT is a good example. So we want to find people that will be willing to look at those AI tools, that will be wanting to kind of embrace and be at the cutting edge of all those AI tools as fast as they develop, and be able to kind of take on board the opportunities that exist within those AI tools. And then as part of that work, we're looking for people who will be able to contribute to AI projects as part of an inclusive and supportive team here at the BBC. So that's kind of a summary of some of the responsibilities that you will be looking for and looking to embrace as part of your new role within the business. So that's the kind of the work side of things. What does the actual academic side of the programme involve? Well, the uni side of things. As part of this apprenticeship, you will be working with our dedicated learning provider, Corndell. Now, they run a range of apprenticeships for the media sector, for the wider sector, for big kind of corporate organisations such as the BBC. So as part of your 18-month apprenticeship programme, you will be finding out all about kind of business transformation processes that are enabled by AI. You'll be reflecting on the ethical AI decision making that I mentioned a little bit earlier, and engagement with stakeholders. What does that mean in practice? Well, all of the people that you'll be working with in the business, how do you actually kind of get them to embrace the opportunities that AI offers, and to actually kind of get on the journey and come along for the ride? You'll be developing business case uses for AI. So if you want to embrace and use a particular AI tool, how do you actually kind of justify that across the business? And then as part of that kind of process, you'll be learning about kind of project management skills in practice. How do you embrace an AI tool and use that to transform a process within the business? And then at the end, kind of strategic AI implementation to create business value. What does that mean in practice? Well, actually, how do we take an AI tool and make sure that it improves our business processes? So grabbing the value that that AI tool can offer to improve the way we do things and to make things more efficient. As a public organisation, you'll know that we're reliant on licence payers. We kind of take a fee from most households right across the UK, and we have to spend that money wisely. So how can we use AI to make our processes more efficient? effectively so that we can enable more of that money that license payers give us to provide great content, whether that's on television, radio, or across our digital services. So that is effectively the uni side of things. Where are these roles though? And what teams are potentially available for you to join? Well, there's a summary there. You can see that we're looking to recruit in London to our procurement team, in Salford, in Manchester, to our technology and media ops teams, to our audience team in Belfast, and then into our commercial division at BBC Studios. We have roles in London, Bristol, and then in our HR team in London as well. What I'd like to suggest you do is, if you're interested in any of these roles, please look at each of the job adverts that are available, because they will give you a little bit more of a flavour of exactly what each of these teams do, as well as the locations in which these roles are based. Olivia in a moment will be kind of explaining a few of the ground rules to you, no doubt, in terms of the application process. So please choose wisely in terms of which of the teams and which of the locations you are thinking of applying for, because we just don't want you to apply for all six roles, because well, for a start, you can only take up one position. So please do choose the role that you'd like to apply for carefully. I'm sure you'd like to know this bit, the money. So what happens in terms of if you are successful in role? Well, if you are joining this apprenticeship and get a role outside of London, we will be giving you a salary of just under £23,000 a year. If you get one of the roles in London, you will get what's called a London living allowance on top of that, because London is a little bit more expensive to live in. Certainly the rent is more expensive. So on top of that salary, you will also get a £5,441 London living allowance. What are some of the other benefits? Well, you will get industry leading training through the BBC Academy. So you'll be working with the people like me who work in the BBC Academy, and you will have a dedicated team manager and scheme specialist. I'm a scheme specialist. So effectively, I'd be your point of contact throughout the entire apprenticeship programme. You'll get access to training and mentoring by industry professionals. That's internal training through the offer that we deliver, and then through the learning provider, the people that will be delivering the uni side of things. You'll get a bespoke BBC apprenticeship experience, including apprenticeship development days, and you'll be a part of the BBC apprenticeship community. You'll also be a full member of BBC staff. So on joining, you'll get a laptop, you'll get a BBC Pass, you'll get access to all the other benefits that come with being a BBC employee. And in terms of your working week, you'll be on a 35-hour working week. You'll get 5 weeks of annual leave each year, and the opportunity to join our pension scheme. Plus, there are other benefits, including kind of discounted dental, healthcare, gym, and other sort of benefits as well. So that's kind of the upsum of what you will get if you are successful in this program. I can't remember, Alison, is there another slide? Is this for me to do? Yeah. So in terms of the entry requirements for this particular program, you need to be 18 when you start. So if you are doing your A-levels at the moment, or you're 17, as long as you're 18 by the time this program starts in September next year, you are able to apply. So get those applications in. You have to have a right to work in the UK and being a resident in the UK or the European Economic Area for at least the previous 3 years. So if you are a foreign national, if you were born outside of the UK but have lived in the UK for at least 3 years and have the right to work in the UK throughout the apprenticeship period, then certainly you are able to apply for the programme. What you can't have, though, is already completed a business analyst apprenticeship or have a qualification at equivalent level in this same area, because there's no point us teaching you something that you already know, to be honest. So that's why that is set out as one of the entry requirements. And then please do make sure that you've achieved Maths and English GCSE at grade 4 or C in old money, certainly when I went to school, or National 5 Scotland at grade C or above as well. So yeah, that is pretty much a flavour of what the apprenticeship is all about, what we want from you, what you get from us, and I'll hand you back to Alison to explain a little bit more.
Thank you so very much for that explainer. And one of the things I didn't say at the beginning, so apologies, because this is a webinar, you can't come off mic or camera. I see people putting some hands up. So if you have any questions, please submit them in the Q&A box, although John may have just cleared up a few of them. And we will look at them either, Olivia is typing furiously in the background there, but we'll also call some out in just a moment so that everyone can hear the questions. Sometimes there's themes, more than one person asks the same question. But thank you so very much for that, John. And now that John has got you all eager to apply, I'm going to hand you over to Olivia, who can tell you how. Liv, over to you.
Thank you, Alison. Hi, everybody. So I'm going to talk you through our application process, which can seem really daunting at first, especially when you're handing that first application in. But we want to take away all the barriers for the application process and be really transparent so that you can just be your authentic and best self moving into the whole application process. So there are a couple of stages. We've got our online application, which is open now, has been mentioned before. We then have an online test, a video interview, and then an assessment centre as well. And then obviously onboarding and offer begins. And then we'll go on to the next slide, Alison. Thank you. So our online application, like I said, that is currently live now. And this is just an initial check for eligibility and your motivation. Why do you want to join us at the BBC and why this specific scheme? We would advise you to take time researching the scheme and the role that best suits you. At this point, I just want to shout out that you can only apply for one role with this scheme. So if you did want to apply for more than one scheme, that's perfectly fine. So for example, if you wanted to apply for a data science role and this role, that's absolutely fine. But you can't apply for this role in Salford, for example, and this role in Glasgow, for example. So just to make that super clear. Read the application criteria, like John mentioned, go through the ads and make sure it, one, suits you and also suits the career that you want to go into or that interests you. We want you to show your passion for the scheme and show your passion for the BBC. Why the BBC? That's what we want to know. Why the BBC? We're on to the next stage. So our online test, the first one is Capfinity. We say test, but it isn't really a test. It's a strength-based assessment designed to identify your skills and how they align with the role of the apprenticeship at the BBC. There's the kind of like scenario-based questions where applications will be looking at your rank in response to approaches. So like scenario will be, I can't give an example, but a scenario-based question, and then you'll rank them in terms of how you would go about that scenario. So what you're most likely to do first to what you're least likely to do. What I would say, a little top tip, is we send emails. Once you have been invited to each stage of the process, we will send you an email. The biggest tip is to read that email. And I know that sounds so obvious, but please do read that email. We have spent so much time the last couple of years trying to do as much as we can for candidate support. So in that email, there'll be a link to a site that will take you to a site that will break down exactly what to expect with the Capfinity test. There'll be a practice area which you can go on and practice these kind of scenario-based questions if that helps. So please do use that sort of resource because it is there for you. The assessment is conducted online and takes around 45 to 60 minutes. And like I said before, it's looking at your natural strengths and abilities. So please do remember to answer completely authentically to yourself. We don't want you to think how we think you think we want you to answer, if that makes sense. We want you to answer just from your personal preference. Don't consult anyone outside of that. Again, we just want you to do this assessment. We want to hear from you. I won't talk about that because we don't have that in this scheme. So that is our Capfinity section. And like I said, top tip, read what we send you in the emails and use that resource because it's there to support you performing your best. So then we'll move on to the high view section. A lot of our apprentices talk about this and they get really nervous about this section because we do ask for a video interview. However, again, you'll hear me say it a lot. We do send emails before we invite you to the high view section, and we do have videos going through how to use the platform because it is nerve-wracking using a new platform, especially when it's for something that you really want. So we do have videos that break down exactly how to use the platform, top tips in terms of lighting, making sure we can hear you, making sure that your tech works perfectly. And again, we would implore you to do a bit of research of the scheme and our BBC values. So during this stage of the process, it'll be a video interview assessment, and you'll have the opportunity to highlight your strengths, motivations, and what contributions you can make to the BBC. This stage will be conducted online again, like I said, so it's an online platform. So please utilise the videos that we'll send to you that will break it all down. And it will allow you to be flexible and complete it in a time that best suits you. A massive plus of the high view platform is you can do as many retries as you want to before submitting that last video. So please do utilise that. And then we move on to our assessment centres. So the final stage of the whole process is the assessment centre, and that is usually held virtually. So just like I am doing now, they will include several stages, such as a pre-assessment task, which you'll be sent in advance, group exercise, and then an interview. So all of this is designed to make sure that we're seeing different pockets of you throughout the assessment centre stage, because we know that different people perform differently in different stages. So the first one is our group exercise. So you'll calibrate in small groups, and you will be put into breakout rooms so that you can do a scenario-based question, and you will work together, and you'll have observers watching you on the call, which seems scary at the time, but they turn the cameras off and you just completely forget that they're there. And yes, so you do a conversation and you present that conversation in those breakout rooms. So that is the group exercise. And then the interviews are after that. You'll be asked for a mixture of value-based and competency-based questions, and you can prepare examples to support their claim of skills and attributes. Again, a great example of this is we send another email to you before the assessment centre stage, which will break down exactly how you can best prepare. There'll be some tips of what to do beforehand or how to answer some questions, just to make sure that you feel as empowered as you can ahead of that assessment centre. And again, we're always asking you to reflect on why the BBC, why this scheme, and why the BBC. And then the outcome, the exciting part. So if successful, we'll make you an offer to join us in September 2026. Our schemes teams, so John, will be in touch with you between the offer and the start date, and you'll have the opportunity to connect with others during that time period. We do really want you to ask for feedback as well. If you're successful, please ask for feedback because we always want to grow. And of course, if you're not successful this time, please do ask for feedback. We have a lot of apprentices not being successful straight away the first time they try, but maybe the second or third time they come back because they've really taken that feedback on board, or it just wasn't the right time for them at the time. So please do ask for feedback, because at assessment centre stage, we can provide really personal feedback for you. Stay connected and updated with the trends and the news sectors, to make sure you're following us on our BBC accounts. And also, we would really employ you to maintain and keep a record of everything you're doing, so that you can draw upon these in future interviews or the next time you apply for a scheme. I love this line: rejection is redirection. Of course it is. If it's not now, like I just said, we've got loads of apprentices that tried the first time and it didn't work for them, and life is all about sliding doors. Right time will come to you. So rejection is redirection, and keep a positive mindset. So many people, and I get blown away with this every year, so many people apply for an apprenticeship at the BBC, and so many of our apprentices that started this cohort have said, I didn't think it would be me, but why not? Why can't it be you? it can be you. So yeah, that is our recruitment process as a whole. But like I said, each step of the process, we will be here to support you and make sure that you feel as empowered as possible when you're stepping into those recruitment stages.
Thank you so very much, Olivia, for breaking that down. And yeah, it's true. We do have lots of apprentices, and they're always surprised. They're always like, I never thought I would get in, or I never thought I would get to work for the BBC. And that actually leads me on to our next slide, which talks about diversity and inclusivity at the BBC. I say it on every single webinar. I do not want anyone to be listening to this call and think, oh, that sounds like such a cool scheme. You know, I'd love to work for the BBC, but I could not work for the BBC because, and then insert whatever your because is. The BBC is trying its hardest to be as inclusive and as diverse an organization as possible, and we need your help to do that. At the end of the day, we are supposed to be reflecting the whole of the UK. We can't do that if we all come from the same backgrounds, have the same upbringing, you know, have the same opinions, our mind works the same ways, you know, we would just be boring. So please, please, please don't think that you can't apply for us. And if you are disabled, neurodivergent, have a long-term health condition, are deaf, we will support you from application stage all the way through your BBC career. We are very proud of being a disability confident employer, and that means that you can contact us, you can contact Olivia and her team before you even start the application, have a confidential conversation with them, and then they can talk to you about any kind of reasonable adjustments you might need for application, for any of the steps that Olivia has spoken through. But then also, if you're successful, we have access teams internally. We can provide assistive technology, or you can have conversations with scheme specialists, the likes of John, or your team leader if there's, you know, you've got to make alterations or adjustments to the way that you work. So please don't rule yourself out, rule yourself in. And on that line, I'm just going to show a video about one of our apprentices.
When I first found out I was coming to do an apprenticeship at the BBC, my family, friends, everyone at my old work were so excited for me. When I was younger, I used to always partake in the Children in Need. We also used to take a pound in, and I think everyone can remember that from when they were younger. To be working here is just crazy. So I did A-levels before doing my apprenticeship. I wanted to go and do something more creative, and I thought I'd just kind of go a bit off-piece and Google and see what else was out there. The jump from high school to sixth form was really tricky for me. I was finding it really hard to keep up. So I went for an assessment, and it actually ended up turning into an assessment for dyslexia. And I ended up coming out of that assessment with a diagnosis, and then left school, went and worked for 2 years, and then at the age of 20 got a diagnosis for autism. That diagnosis was really beneficial. I'd always wondered why quite didn't feel like I fit in. I'm still finding out new things every day about how to cope. The autism definitely has its stereotypes, and so many times when I got the diagnosis, people will question, well, how can you be autistic? And that was really hard at first, because I thought, well, I don't know, I've been given this diagnosis, I'm trying to understand it. So when I first started the apprenticeship scheme, my line manager reached out and asked, did anybody have any additional needs? And I'd never been asked that before. And I thought, OK, at this point, I don't really know whether the answer's yes or no. Then thought, actually, no, I'm going to tell them. I'm going to be open about this for the first time. They then gave me the support and went through access to work. It gave me extra support in terms of I was given a lot of them to help with the difficulties that I was having. So I was given a software called Dragon to help me communicate that, and all of these things that I'd never had before. And so from that day onwards, I was very open, and the BBC are so understanding and make it so easy to have those conversations. I would say to anybody that's apprehensive about applying for apprenticeships, especially if you're like me and had dyslexia or autism or any disability or anything that you think is a barrier means that you can't do it, just do it anyway. I definitely think if I had not applied, I don't know what I'd be doing right now, and I'm so happy to be working here. I'm Vicky, I'm a degree apprentice at the BBC, and I have autism and dyslexia.
Thank you. And so here are some QR codes for you, and I will put them as links in the chat as soon as I stop the share, just in case QR codes aren't working for you at this moment. On the left-hand side, I've got to do my right from my left, is the form to where you can have a confidential conversation with the recruitment team about any reasonable adjustments you may need. So it's the Early Careers Recruitment contact form. So that's the one on the left. And then on the right, the QR code takes you to our early careers page, FAQs. Like Olivia was saying with the applications, we've put a lot of time and a lot of resources into giving you as much information as possible so that no part of the process is a mystery. So I would urge you to look at the FAQs as well, because they give a lot of information on there. And then finally, the last slide, as Olivia said, applications are open for this phase of apprenticeships that are open for application. Application is going to close at 23:59 next Thursday. So you have a week and a few hours. Do not leave it till the final hour, because I can guarantee you probably that your internet will die. So you've got a bit of time to still do a bit of research, look at all the different schemes, look at the different locations, as John said, and then make a decision. But we hope that you do apply. So I'm going to stop the share. I know that there have been some questions. So Liv, are there any themes that you just want to bring up with regards to questions?
There are a couple, but I'm just going to ask this question actually to John, if that's okay. So the question is, if I'm not taking a STEM subject at A level, is there anything I can do externally outside of college to equip me with the knowledge to go into one of these roles?
Yeah, so I think because this is a business analyst apprenticeship, we're really looking for your potential rather than kind of those particular STEM focused qualifications. So we're asking for the basics in terms of English and maths competency, but no, apply away. All experience is valuable experience, and because, as I said, it's a business analyst apprenticeship, we're not looking for people that have got a particular focus on the STEM subjects. The humanities and business will also be really useful.
Can I jump in there with a little bit of added extra, please, Liv? Because what I would say is, look at your transferable skills. People forget, they sleep on their transferable skills, and those can really carry you through. So if you look at the job description and you look at the kind of things you're going to be doing, you know, project management came up in there, business comes up in there. So communication skills are vital. Organizational skills, imperative, you know, resilience, because apprenticeships, working, studying, you're going to need a level of resilience there as well. So use those as well as examples in your application, and they don't have to be a specific work focus. It could be how you organized, I don't know, a surprise birthday party for your sister. Any and everything you can take from all aspects of your life, but your transferable skills are really important. John, the teams that you work in, the learning provider, they will teach you the technicals, but it's important for us to see if you're the kind of person who wants to learn and if you're the kind of person who's a good team player. So think about those as well. Back to you, Liv.
Fabulous. It's reiterating, it's one of the main things that happens recently with applications coming in is that you might accidentally click no or click yes on your application, and it's absolutely fine. You will get an email maybe the next day that says you have been disqualified from the process, but it is fine if you have made a mistake, because you can log back into your candidate portal and you can edit that. And then you'll be put back into new applications. That's not a question that's been asked, but it's something that I know that some people are going through that at the moment. So if you do make a mistake on your application, you are able to go back in if you've noticed it and update your application to make sure that it is seen by us, the recruiters. That's just one thing I wanted to make sure I said on this webinar today. Alison, someone's asked if you can send them the link of the recording of this session. Do you want to let them know where they can find it?
Yep, sure. I am going to post links now, but also if you go to Live at the BBC YouTube, you'll see all of our webinar recordings. But I'm about to post some links momentarily. So yes.
Fabulous. And John, there's one in here that says, the placement at the BBC Studios London asks for corporate experience. The organisation where I work, I wouldn't say is corporate in the sense of being a commercial business. So should I steer away from that placement?
I think this is just a guide. So if you think that you match the rest of the job description and in terms of the essential skills that we're looking for, then please feel free to apply away. The BBC, as you know, is divided into two principal divisions: public service, which is all of the services funded through the license fee, and then BBC Studios, our commercial arm, is the bit that makes the money, basically. And if you do decide to join the BBC Studios division, don't tell anybody else, but you get better coffee because they have a better coffee machine in the Studios division. I wouldn't say that that was the only incentive to apply for the Studios placements, but just take it and bear it in mind. In our side of the business, we just get the Nescafe.
They have a hot chocolate as well.
They do indeed.
Carry on.
Yeah, so don't be put off. But as I say, look at all the different job descriptions and teams that are available. We don't want you to apply for all 6 or 7 positions. So factor that in certainly when you look at the role fit and where you think your skills and the transferable skills, certainly that Alison was talking about earlier, would best enable you to fit in and apply accordingly. That's the best advice we can give, really.
Thanks, John. And somebody has asked, Will has asked, how many people tend to apply to a scheme? As I mentioned before, we do get quite a lot of applications. But what I would say is there are smaller locations that tend to get less. So a little tip for you, if you are willing to relocate, we do some support for that. But if you are willing to relocate, I would look at some of the smaller bases, or at least consider that. Before applying for some of the big bases like London, for example. But we do tend to have, it's hard to say around a number because obviously different locations vary, but we do have a lot of applications. Let's say for London, we would have over 100 applications, a little bit more than that. And then for like smaller bases such as Belfast, for example, we will see less numbers. You're looking in the like maybe 50, let's say, less than that. But yeah, we would employ you to look at different areas.
Cool. Also, our business and tech schemes, because people don't necessarily think of BBC and business and tech, the schemes that have the most numbers are our journalism and production schemes. And this is a brand new scheme. So you never know. The only thing we can guarantee you is that if you don't apply, you won't get it.
That's very good advice.
That I can guarantee you. I saw one, sorry, can I jump in? I'm very rude. I saw one and it was asking if a person who is older and looking to change careers can apply. Absolutely. We do not have an upper age limit on our apprenticeships. We have apprentices in their 50s. We have internal apprentices in their 60s. So these are specifically for people who have just left college, but also career changes, all of that good stuff as well. And with that one, you know, think about your transferable skills and the skills that you gained from past careers.
Definitely. And yeah, just to reiterate that point as well, Alison, I have apprentices on AI programs from 18 to 61. So right across the the different demographics. And yeah, it's never too old to you're never too old rather to change career or do something new. So yes, this is not just for school leavers, but certainly we do want school leavers as well. We're open to everybody.
And there's just one last question, so I'm just going to ask that one to John. I have a digital media OCR extended technical certificate. Does that account as an IT/computing?
Oh, well, it sounds very good. I don't think. I mean, I think in terms of it wouldn't make you eligible or ineligible. So yeah, I think you can certainly apply with that. Without knowing the ins and outs of the particular curriculum, it's hard for me to advise any further at this stage, but certainly it wouldn't be something that would make you ineligible, and it may kind of give you a couple of those extra transferable skills that we're looking for. But yeah, assess what you've got against the kind of job description, and if you think that is kind of helpful, then certainly kind of emphasize that in your application. But by all means, consider what you're like in the round and the kind of skills, academic and non-academic, that you've picked up along the way. And if you think that you'd be well suited for one of our apprenticeship programs in the AI arena, then please do apply.
Thanks, John.
I'm going to jump in because someone has literally just messaged. I'm going to read it out because I love it. Wow, I'm only 18 and not sure how us young ones can compete with people who have 40 years work experience. We are looking at potential in these applications. If you think about it, AI is relatively new. So even if a person was working for 40 years and it works both ways, they wouldn't have been working with AI 40 years ago. So we're all on this learning journey together. So, you know, what people bring at a younger age is fantastic and amazing to the BBC. And what people bring at an older age is fantastic and amazing to the BBC. Remember, I said we're supposed to be representing everyone in the UK, and that includes age ranges as well. And there's always something new to learn. So don't let that worry you. Just focus on your application, what you can bring. Don't worry about anyone else.
Absolutely, and particularly, as you say, Alison, in the kind of like tech arena and with IT and all things kind of computer wise, if I have problems with my kind of laptop and stuff at home, I give it to my nephew who's 9 because he's much better at kind of dealing with that than I am. So yeah, certainly kind of age is no barrier, and certainly people of all ages bring with them different experiences and different skill sets. And certainly lots of school leavers are very, very kind of well equipped with the type of digital skills that we're looking for, because you kind of have lived and breathed and grown up with the kind of tech that just wasn't around when I was a youngster. So yeah, certainly don't kind of discount yourself or undersell what you can bring to the business, because you can have just the skills that we are looking for and that kind of contemporary experience because you've kind of grown up living and breathing this type of technology.
Excellent. Liv, did you see any more? Olivia, sorry. Shortly.
That's all right. Love Liv. Someone's just asked a very similar question, and I feel like John covered it. They basically said they haven't taken a STEM subject, but not to let that put them off applying for this role at all, because we are looking at potential, just to reiterate that. I'd love to, oh, they've asked about volunteering if successful. We don't currently have something available for this. So I would say put as much effort into the application as possible, show your passion, and just make sure that your authenticity comes through your application process. Also manifest. We love a bit of manifestation.
Positive thinking. And then someone has finally asked, where can they find the information specific to the location on this apprenticeship? So the first link that I've put in the chat that everyone can see is the BBC Early Careers page. So if you click on that and you click on, I think it comes under opportunities, it will show the different areas of schemes. Look under the advanced higher border, which is where all the level 4s, 3, 4s and 5s are, and you will find business analyst in there. Once you click on that, it will give you all the different locations that you can apply for.
I also want to just quickly say that this is under the data and digital sector of the website, just to highlight.
Sorry, that was me giving wrong information earlier. Apologies. See, you were all human. So yeah, look at digital and data and you will see it there as well. Right, it is 6:49, so we get 11 minutes back. But thank you so very much to everyone who has been listening. A special thanks to John and Olivia for giving us this evening. You guys apply, please, think about your transferable skills, be positive, do some research. You've got a week and a bit, and apply, and hopefully we will be welcoming you into the BBC next September. All right, have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Good luck, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.